Hey guys, I hope you're all doing really well. Today I'm so excited to share with you the third update in my Pan Those Eyeshadows project pan. I have been having so much fun with this project pan, and the idea of this project is truly just to hit pan in as many eyeshadows in my collection as possible. I don't have a number goal or an end goal in mind. However, I feel like just throughout this year I should be able to hit pan on lots of pans of eyeshadow in my collection, which I'm super excited for. And yes, I'm gonna say the word pan about 12,000 times in this video, so my apologies. But regardless, this project pan is heavily influenced by my friend Alexi. She did a Pan Those Eyeshadows series both in 2017 and 2018. And honestly, guys, she is like the queen of panning eyeshadows, especially like brights and really unique shades. She just manages to use and abuse all those eyeshadows because she creates so many inspirational and creative eyeshadow looks. So definitely check her out if you haven't already. Of course, if you've been keeping up with this project or realistically any of my project pans or any of my content, then you already know who Alexi is. But yeah, I will link her down below so you can check out her channel. Anyways, I am so excited to share with you guys my update for today. I cannot wait to just hop into it. So the first palette I have to share with you has been in here since the very beginning. This is my Colourpop Yes Please palette, and the eyeshadow that I randomly generated in this palette is the very first shade. It's the bone sort of shade, and it's called Full Zip. It's this shade right here, and as you may be able to see, there's a little shimmer of pan right dead in the center of this pan. And for that, I am very, very excited. I'm so happy to have finally hit pan on this. I can't believe it took as long as it did to get here, but we are here, and that means I get to roll another shadow into this project. And I am excited about that because this is a pretty basic shade that honestly is interchangeable with so many other products from my collection. But regardless, I did enjoy using it. It was perfect to set from lash line right up to brow bone in every single day's eyeshadow look, no matter what. Even if I wasn't wearing shadow and I just put on a primer just to cancel out a little bit of the veining and discoloration on my lids and to really absorb some oil as well. This was just my go-to. And yeah, I'm so excited to see what I will roll in its place. The next shade selection has also been in this project since the very beginning. This one right here is from the Zulu by Juvia's place. This is a beautiful, beautiful, colorful palette with massive eyeshadow pans. And the shade that I selected from this palette is shade number 2, which is this bright yellow right here. It's a true matte yellow, and it is extremely happy, and it's just like full of sunshine. It's so vibrant and it's so fun. But of course you can see I have not yet hit pan on this shadow. I feel like it's gonna be an awfully long time before I do, but that's okay because I have been absolutely loving reaching for this. I've been enjoying integrating this color into so many looks, and I've just been having fun reaching for this palette as a whole. So even though it may take me some time to hit pan, this project definitely is just useful in order to get use and to reach for palettes that I have in my collection. So I am really happy about my progress, even though it might not be that end goal. I'm still really happy to be making progress and to be using this palette. This next shade comes from my Fenty Beauty Galaxy palette. This was the limited edition holiday palette from 2017. And I have one shade that I'm focusing on in this palette. The shade that I'm focusing on, I feel like, is pretty obvious. Even in the viewfinder, I can see the wear on this shade, and it's this one right here. This is called Space Out, which is like a dusty purple with a ton of shimmer and glitter in it. It definitely isn't the easiest shadow formula to wear. These shadows are actually quite difficult in the sense that there can be quite a lot of fallout. However, it is absolutely beautiful when it's on the lids, and I've been loving wearing it with a blush in the crease and then this all over the lid. So I have been wearing the Tarte Amazonian Clay blush in Exposed in my crease and on my lower lash line, and then this on the lid, and I've been in love with that look. It's just so easy and yet so effective, and I feel like it's just, yeah, it's not too complicated, it's not too stressful. It really is just an easy look to do even in the mornings. So I have been doing that quite a lot with this shadow. I just realized I hadn't swatched the shade from the Zulu. So the one on the top here is from the Zulu, which is just this beautiful juicy yellow shade. And then this one right here is Space Out from the Fenty Galaxy palette. And as you can see, it definitely has quite a dusty undertone. Next is an eyeshadow also from a Colourpop palette. This one comes from the Dream Street palette, which is a collaboration with Kathleen Lights. And this is a beautiful little palette as well. I really am inspired by the color story in here. And in fact, it is the eyeshadow palette that I have on my eyes today, but I did not wear the eyeshadow that is in this project. I just created a really more simple everyday kind of look with this palette using this palette. And the shadow that I should have reached for today, and I honestly should reach for far more often, is this one right here. This is called Spark, and it is a really true red shade with a slightly pastel kind of undertone to it. There's something absolutely beautiful and unique about this shadow, but it's something I haven't found myself reaching for a lot because I haven't quite figured out how to properly integrate it into my eyeshadow looks, especially when I'm getting ready for work in the morning time. But this shadow is gorgeous no matter what, and I definitely need to make a note of reaching for it more than I have been. As you can see, it's just a beautiful matte red shade, and it is a little bit intimidating. I don't think that it's impossible to wear. I have worn it several times, but it's something that I just don't find myself desiring to integrate into looks, especially because this can be a little bit more difficult to create color pairings with. But anyway, I'm super inspired by this shadow. I can't wait to play with it more this coming month. Hopefully what I can do with it is kind of like when I come home from work and I have had a look more neutral on like this. What is English? If I had a more neutral look like this on, then I would just go and maybe add that red to the lower lash line, or buff it out into the crease, or add it on my outer corner, and just kind of see what kind of color pairings I can create by just playing with the shadow on a day-to-day basis. And so that's what I'm gonna try to do over the coming month, is to just add it into looks and just kind of see where it goes, so that I can figure out what colors work with it and how I like to use it. Subculture by Anastasia. I love this palette. I'm so inspired by this palette, and I was so happy to put this palette into this project because I just find that whenever I reach for this palette, I do create really interesting looks, and I have so much fun with it. So now, after all that blabbering, let me share with you guys what my palette is looking like. Does something look a little different? I think you can probably tell from there, but I hit pan on the shade New Wave, which I'm so excited about because this is, of course, the shadow that I selected. It's a nice mac and cheese kind of orange shade with definitely more warmth in it. It's so easy to work with. I love the way that this kind of color looks not only on my skin, but on my eyes too. And so, of course, I managed to hit pan on it within the 2-month time frame because I just feel like this kind of eyeshadow formula is so easy, and this shadow was so easy for me to get use out of as well. Why can't I talk today? So I'm really happy to have hit pan, which unfortunately means that I'm gonna be rolling this palette out of this project. But yeah, I don't care because I know that probably I'll end up getting back to this again by the end of this year, and just having reached for it over the last 2 months, I know that I really do want to reach for this more often, even in conjunction with the rest of the shades in this project at the moment. And the last shadow that is currently in this project pan comes from this palette right here. This is the Blush Tribe Blossom palette, an all mattes, beautiful, colorful palette. And the shadow that I selected randomly for this palette is this one right here, which is called Zinnia. And I did swatch it on my hand. It's kind of like a neon peach kind of shadow. It's very unique to my collection, and I have had a lot of fun playing with this, but I must admit this was my least reach for shade out of this entire roundup over this past month because it's just a shadow I don't know how to use quite yet. And to be honest, I kind of found myself oftentimes trying to remember what's that sixth shadow that I'm working on, what is that sixth shadow, and that's because I rolled it in the last update, and I was really trying to focus my energies on hitting pan in New Wave because I knew I was super close. So this next month I will definitely be playing with this palette so much more. I cannot wait to, because it is a beautiful palette and I'm really happy that this is a part of this project pan yet again. I don't know how many times I can say that. Unfortunately, not making massive progress on this. However, I did end up hitting pretty bad hard pan, and I am gonna fix that up before I take close-up shots for you. But I am happy that this is a part of this project, and I cannot wait to see like the progress that I can make in the coming month as well. Because I did hit pan on both Full Zip and New Wave, I will be rolling in 2 new eyeshadows from my collection to focus on. And my number went up by 3 pans of eyeshadow for this past month because I actually made a Colourpop order back before my last update, but it didn't come until about a week or so after that update went up. So it is 3 pans of eyeshadow that it's gone up by. And I did purchase 4 pans of eyeshadow from Colourpop. One was a backup for Koosh, so I'm not opening that. I'm not adding it to my spreadsheet. But technically speaking, I do own 270 pans of eyeshadow. So yes, that's a lot. Let's just draw another eyeshadow. And so I'm putting in variables 1 to 269 in the Pretty Random app. So can you see there? I'm gonna randomize one. I got the shade number 55. I may have cursed myself by saying that the 2 most challenging shades that I selected were Spark and Zinnia. So that like bright red and that bright orange peach, because my next selection that I just randomized is basically a shadow that is the middle of those 2 colors. Like it's right in between those 2 colors. It's kind of in that same sort of color story. And it comes from my Urban Decay Electric palette. Now, if it was any other shade but this one, I would be super stoked because I love a lot of the shadows in this palette and they would create a lot more variety for this color palette that I'm going to work on. But the shadow that I selected, as much as it's a beautiful shade and I absolutely love this eyeshadow, it just is going to be really challenging alongside what I'm working on already. And as you can probably guess, it's this shadow right here, which is called Slow Burn. It's an orange-red matte shade, and it looks quite a lot like the color story that I already kind of have happening. So I'm a little bit nervous about that, to be quite honest. I likely am not gonna touch this palette until I finish or hit my goal on Spark. I'm super excited because this palette is beautiful. This formula is absolutely beautiful. The Electric palette is one of my most coveted and favorite palettes within my collection. I honestly treasure it so much. But I wish that I had selected something entirely different. Like Urban would have been so cool to pair with the Fenty palette. Even Jilted is my absolute dream color to be focusing on right now. This shade right here called Fringe would have been absolutely beautiful too and created a little bit more variety within the project for me. But that's okay. I'm always up for a challenge. I'm willing to kind of see how I can make it work. And I am going to pick my last shadow to focus on. I'm hoping for something that is either a single pan, because I haven't had any of my singles in this project yet, and definitely something like metallic or shimmer, because there's a lot of mattes going on in this color story. Maybe a cool tone. If I put it out in the universe, maybe like a cool tone shimmer. That would be pretty cool. Let's just go for it. So between 1 and 269, I just got the shade number 94. So shade number 94 actually is from my Modern Renaissance palette, and it's a shadow that I already have pan on. So in lieu of staying with the project title, I'm going to actually not choose this palette, but I did want to show you what that selection was. So it's the shade Primavera, and it has a decent pan on it already. So I am going to skip over this one and opt to choose one more. I did say in my last update, if I roll in a shadow that does have pan on it, I may choose to try to finish it up, but I really want to just focus on hitting more pan in my collection, at least in this earlier half of the year. So I'm just going to draw one more. The next shadow is number 62. So I did say any other shadow in my electric palette would have been a good option, and I ended up getting another shadow from this palette. I got another, it's pretty much a matte kind of finish, but it does have a slight bit of sheen to it, and I picked this shade right here, the bright lime green shadow. This is called Thrash, and it's an absolutely beautiful color. I love this for a really grungy kind of look, especially in the inner corner or on the inner portion of my lid, and I think it's gonna pair really nicely with the yellow, and it's definitely not an everyday kind of shadow. It's something I'm gonna reach for maybe not as frequently as some of the other shades that I've hit pan on in this project, but that's okay. It is so fun, and I'm really excited actually now, knowing that 2 of the shadows from this palette are in here. I will reach for this really often, and I'm gonna have a lot of color in my life between not only these 2 palettes, but also the Zulu. So having these 3 palettes in this project right now is going to be the most vibrant time of my life for sure. And I'm super excited about that because spring has just begun and it's on the horizon for more spring weather. And so yes, this color story is definitely bright and vibrant, and it is really quite interesting and a little bit diverse as well. These are gonna be all challenges. I foresee maybe the Fenty shadow being the best, the one that I'll hit pan on the soonest, but I'm really gonna focus my efforts on Spark as well in this coming month, and hopefully I can hit pan on maybe, if not one, both of them. We'll see. I really don't know what the future holds with this project pan. I'm just shocked. I'm shocked that with 269 pans of eyeshadow, I get all bright eyeshadow colors to focus on and all bright palettes for my collection. But I'm super excited because you know what? That's the challenge and that's the fun of this project pan. And by no means do I have to hit pan in something every single month, but I would like to, so I'm gonna really try my hardest to hit pan on these so that the next update can be really exciting. I'm really excited to be focusing on these. I know that some of you guys will be like, that's terrifying. And yeah, part of me kind of thinks it might be a little bit, but I am also very excited and cannot wait to just jump into my colorful palettes. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.